Hello everybody out there, and welcome to this week's Raw Review. Before we get to this week's Raw Review, apparently the review I posted of Super SmackDown last Tuesday, because I said I would give it a shot, did not post, would not post, wasn't showing up for other people. It was showing up if I tried to pull it up on my end, but apparently people were telling me they couldn't see it, etc., etc. So, I'm not going to do a review of SmackDown all over again, but a couple key points from last week's Super SmackDown. Sin Cara turning heel on Daniel Bryan. Don't quite know what to think about that because there's way too much going on backstage. Stuff I'm hearing from the rumor mill and all that. The two Sin Caras are going to fight each other, or Sin Cara's gone heel and he's going to face Mysterio, etc., 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 or he's going to have a little mini rivalry with Daniel Bryan. The two Sin Caras thing would be mildly amusing. I really hope they're not doing this to try and reinvigorate Rey Mysterio when he comes back. And no offense, but if Daniel Bryan's going to be the world champion anytime soon, he needs to not be having a constant running feud with a cruiserweight. Just my opinion. Made the really cool announcement for SmackDown. We all know, and they've been saying it for the longest time now, Monday Night Raw is the longest-lasting weekly episodic program in television history. Now, on that list, SmackDown has worked its way up to number 3. Apparently, Gunsmoke has a couple more episodes than they do, but as soon as they surpass Gunsmoke, WWE will have the number 1 and number 2 spot. So that's good, isn't it? They have shown their longevity, or whatever you want to call it. It's a milestone. It's something to be mentioned, something to be remarked on. Everybody's already spoken on it. I won't waste too much time on it. But the promo/contact signing between Triple H and CM Punk, battle of words between the two of them, felt like it went on 15 minutes, but also felt like I didn't care that it went on 15 minutes. So that's the sign of a good promo, isn't it? If you don't want either one of them to shut up, then obviously they're doing what they need to be doing. The Divas, as much as I usually shit on the Divas of Doom, Natalya and Beth Phoenix actually won a match, which is the first thing WWE has done in the Divas division. That makes sense in, I don't know how long, maybe as far back as when Lita and Trish Stratus was the main event on Raw. Who remembers that? I barely do. Anyways, the last thing I'm going to leave you with was Super SmackDown last week. Christian and Randy Orton in the cage. Sorry, it's not Christian Cage. We're not in TNA anymore, are we? Christian and Orton in the cage. I thought could have been a lot better. It was as good as you can expect from a cage match on SmackDown as opposed to on a pay-per-view, I guess. It really looked shit to me, because just the immediate night before we had seen the great match between Orton and Ziggler, which stole the show that night and stole the show for the week, I'm pretty comfortable saying. So to put on a shitty cage match the immediate night after it being on the Tuesday wasn't a great move. If they were going to do it, they should have done it on a night where SmackDown was on Friday, and we had a couple days to forget about how awesome Ziggler Orton was. But we didn't, and kind of ended on a sour note. For me, you can disagree all you want. Put your comments down in the box. That's what it's there for. Anyway, September 5th, Raw Supershow review. Punk comes out and immediately goes into his promo stuff. I still, to this day, love it when he comes out to cut a promo. He just kind of sits down cross-legged, almost like he's going to lounge out in the ring, like he really doesn't give a shit. It's a little thing, but it's a sort of a uniquely CM Punk thing. Like I've mentioned it before, and I will mention it again. I'm sure of it. But it reminds me of the old days in WCW with Raven's Flock when he used to lounge himself out on the bottom turnbuckle, because it was something that was uniquely Raven. This is something that's uniquely CM Punk in much a similar manner. Comes out, starts talking about how I'm different. I talk without a filter. I speak my mind, this makes me a target. Maybe this is why R-Truth and The Miz jumped me last week. And he goes on to say how they jumped him because he's a target, and he was going to fight R-Truth tonight. He would much rather fight Kevin Nash. He calls out Nash. Nash comes out and says, I do what I want when I want, I'm a big tough guy. Triple H did you a favor by canceling our match at Night of Champions. Triple H comes down and interferes. Nash tries to tell Triple H what to do. Triple H reveals that he has found the backstage security camera footage from SummerSlam, and he knows that it is now Nash that sent the text to himself. He sent the text to himself from Triple H's phone saying, you need to stick the winner of the Cena Punk match after the match is over. Nash says, you gotta pick a side. Are you gonna stick with your buddy, or are you gonna stick with this guy who's been in your face the last couple of weeks and insulting your family? Nash gets all pissed off, steps up to Triple H. Triple H decks Nash and then fires him, and Punk leaves the ring with a smile on his face, and you can see him sort of off microphone just turning to Nash and saying, best of luck in your future endeavors. And I thought that was just fucking brilliant in true Punk fashion. Alright, we come back. First match of the night is Air Boom, Kofi Kingston and Evan Bourne versus Jinder Mahal and the Great Khali from over on SmackDown. This was a match, and I've said this before, but this was a match that I loved half of. The one good thing about this match, we finally got to see what Jinder Mahal can actually do in the ring, rather than just, making cheap shots on the Great Khali's behalf. Anything Jinder Mahal did tonight against Kofi or against Evan Bourne looked really, really decent. There wasn't enough of him in the match for me to develop an opinion totally on what he does in the ring, but what he did do in the ring was pretty decent looking for a relatively new guy. The other half of that match is obviously anytime that Khali was tagged in, it was a squash, like him swatting at Airborne like they were bugs. Miscommunication between Khali and Jinder. Khali ends up giving Jinder the chop to the head, and Air Boom, obviously, because they're on a roll, keep on that roll, and they win this first match for sure. We go to the back and we see Alberto Del Rio arrive in one of his many, 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 many fancy cars. Oh, yes. We have a number one contenders match for the Divas Championship between Eve and Beth. So obviously we have Kelly and Natalya both on commentary. Not that I would really focus on a Divas match anyway, but I couldn't really focus on it because the amount of bickering between King and Cole and Natalya and Kelly and JR just trying to get a word in edgewise was absolutely fucking ridiculous. Absolutely fucking ridiculous. Basically, Beth destroys Eve. Beth's going to be your number one contender for Night of Champions. Big surprise. I really, really, really hope they actually do something that makes sense at Night of Champions with the Divas division. I mean, Kelly got to have her Superman victory at SummerSlam, so let's move it in a more reality-based direction, shall we? Probably not. Alright. We cut to the back. For some reason, Christian is talking to Drew McIntyre, who nobody has seen on a big WWE show in weeks. Drew McIntyre is one of the quintessential, superstars guys, and that's never good, is it? That puts him in the boats with, Chavo before he was released, and JTG and Tyson Kidd, and that's just not good, is it? And he's talking to Christian, gets interrupted by Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio is basically looking for anybody that wants to help him soften up John Cena before Night of Champions. And for the time being, you think Christian tells him off, and he goes away, and it's a very badly done backstage. A lot of the backstage stuff, it's not the greatest at the best of times, but it was really, really off tonight, I'm going to say that. We have another promo for Triple H's movie, Inside Out, which I'm starting to get mildly intrigued by. Don't know if I'm going to bother getting it, borrowing it, downloading it, whatever. But anyways, get back to action in the ring. We have Truth versus Punk, but first, Truth and The Miz come out talking about the conspiracy theory, blah, blah, blah. Ever since Triple H took over, we've been ignored, da, 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 da. We know how we're not going to get ignored anymore. We're going to challenge Air Boom for the Tag Team Championships at Night of Champions. They put the challenge out there, and then they accept it themselves, which is a really cocky heel way of going about it. So I kind of like that a lot. The match was better than I think most people would have given it credit for. Most people aren't giving R-Truth much credit. A lot of people are giving R-Truth credit for his character development at this stage in the game, but not a lot of people are giving him credit for his actual in-ring work, which I think is really, really bad, because despite the new psychotic persona that he's using right now, he's a great in-ring worker as well. I don't care if you disagree with me, toss it in the box, and I will tell you why. I think that, and why I think the people that don't think that are ridiculous. Anyways, great back and forth match. R-Truth looks ridiculously aggressive. CM Punk, however, hits an awesome looking, clean, crisp top rope superplex on Truth. And obviously a GTS later, we have a win for Punk, because we're not going to have Punk losing anytime soon, as he's going on to face Triple H at Night of Champions. But still a great match with R-Truth. R-Truth did not lose any steam by losing this match, I can tell you that much. Triple H comes down and confronts once again a very tired, very, just been through a match, CM Punk. Says, by the way, this is very personal, da-da-da-da-da, I hate you, this is not business, this is personal, da-da-da-da-da, I made our match a no DQ match at Night of Champions, who didn't see that one coming? Punk says, I'll accept that if you put your position as COO on the line. And this is where I started to cringe, because Punk Triple H is already a great enough match, even without it being no DQ, even without there being a stipulation on it. So I don't know what they're overbooking it now, which is kind of sad, because that's what they did to Punk Cena too at SummerSlam, didn't they? And it just got kind of messy at the end. Alberto Del Rio tries to talk to Wade Barrett, who for some reason is talking to Tyler Rex and I don't know who the other guy is. Tyler Rex and Hawkins, Kurt Hawkins, who are apparently a team on Superstars. Now, I don't even watch Superstars. But for some reason, they're talking to Wade Barrett. They got 5 seconds of TV time on Raw tonight. Good for them. But anyways, Alberto Del Rio tries to talk to Wade Barrett about helping him with John Cena, and Wade Barrett basically tells him off and shoots him away and whatnot. Okay. Snore portion of the evening. Mike McGillicuddy and David Otunga versus Zack Ryder and Jerry Lawler. Because Jerry Lawler last week was calling them a boring tag team, and supposedly, even though they were in the match at the time competing, they could hear what Lawler was saying about them on commentary. That's not very consistent, is it? But somehow Lawler and Ryder become a tag team. McGillicuddy and Otunga do the job to Jerry Lawler, because he's got, legend status and whatnot. Zack Ryder insists on getting the pin, the Rough Rider, and the win for that team, and I just kind of cringe, because if Ryder's going to get a push or going to get some TV time on Raw, this was really, really not the way to do it. Alberto Del Rio finds Dolph Ziggler, asks him for help, da-da-da-da-da. Vicky's looking at adding swagger to her team. If you want to impress her, you could help me beat up John Cena, da-da-da-da. Swagger tells him to go fuck himself, more or less. We get a promotional video from the BSR anti-bullying thing, Sheamus going around to schools talking about how bullying is bad and don't pick on each other and we should all get along, and it's all good. A year ago, I would have thought Sheamus would have been the last person that they would have had for the BSR promotion, so that makes me chuckle just a bit. We come back, and we have the most glorious squash match I have seen in a long time, as Randy Orton goes up against Heath Slater. Oh, yes. I do not know how Heath Slater still has a job. Justin Gabriel was carrying them when they were a team, for sure. He's going to go rise up. I would love to see Justin Gabriel fight Evan Bourne, but that's another story altogether. Heath Slater against Randy Orton. I wrote it down. Slater gets in total 1 kick and 2 knee strikes on Randy Orton. Otherwise, it is a squash. Now, here is where all the Orton haters are going to say, look, Orton's just like Cena. Da-da-da-da-da. Why can't he let anybody win? He won't let Heath Slater win because Heath Slater is new. And of course he's not going to be a main eventer in the WWE. Difference being, last week, somebody who deserved it, like Dolph Ziggler, got in a match with Orton, and shone like a motherfucker. Now, tell me Cena would have let Ziggler shine the way Orton let Ziggler shine last week. It wouldn't happen. That's where you draw the differential. That's where you draw the line between John Cena and Randy Orton. Thank you very much. There is a video coming up with my thoughts on that. Not tonight, though. Yes, so Orton squashes Slater, and I am a happy kid. Cena comes out after the break, calls out Alberto Del Rio. Alberto Del Rio talks to Cena from the rampway, stalls, says, I'm not going to fight you, but my little amigos are, and we get Barrett, Swagger, Ziggler, Christian. They all jump Cena, and I'm like, oh dear, this is going to end badly. But then we have Morrison, Alex Riley, and Sheamus out for the save. Teddy Long comes out and announces that in extreme situations, Triple H has given him the authority to make matches on both shows. Makes this into a great 8-man tag team elimination match. Now, when he announced that, I thought, okay, great, Raw is just going to end in another pile of people match. But it actually wasn't that bad at all. The fact that it was an elimination match saved it, in my opinion, in general, because if it's just one pin, one pin for the win, obviously it's just a big clusterfuck until somebody grabs up a pin at the end, and it's usually Cena, isn't it? But it wasn't actually that bad. Ziggler and Morrison start off, which is always good. Morrison's stuck in the sleeper hold from Ziggler for a long-ass time until Swagger comes in and compounds the pain of the sleeper hold by also putting him in the ankle lock. Ziggler gets out, Swagger keeps the ankle lock on. Swagger submits Morrison in the first minute or so of the match in the ankle lock submission. Vicky Guerrero comes down to watch the match and watch her two potential clients, how they operate as a team, etc., etc., etc. Swagger submits Alex Riley in the ankle lock after a, Swagger splash bomb thing that he does off the second rope that's not very exciting at all and very Matt Hardy-ish. After a dirty-looking brogue kick, we have Sheamus pinning Wade Barrett. Christian and Sheamus are both counted out after Christian slaps Sheamus in the face. Sheamus chases him out of the arena. They're counted out. Da-da-da-da-da. Leaves Vicky's two boys versus John Cena. Cena pins Ziggler after an attitude adjustment, which was only made possible because Ziggler and Swagger were arguing with each other. Cena quickly gets the STF on Swagger as well and wins the match for his team. And Alberto Del Rio really, really fails at ambushing Cena after the match. Now, before I even get into the score, fail, and MVP, I'm going to tell you exactly what's wrong with this match, and exactly what is wrong with Cena being in this match, and exactly what is wrong with Cena being in the main event ever. This was an elimination match, right? There was three other guys on Cena's team. Cena did not hit that ring inside. Did not hit the inside of that ring until he was the only one left. And when he was the only one left, he Supermaned over Swagger and Ziggler something fierce. Now, I don't care for Swagger much at all. I think Swagger's a waste of space and a waste of time and a waste of television airtime. But you've got him, who's got all the technical background in the world, plus Ziggler, who we know is going to get pushed sometime soon. And the combination of the two of them still get totally smoked by Cena. This is what my point is from last week. Randy Orton, Ziggler have an amazing match where they both look great. Cena has a match with Ziggler and another partner, and he Super Cena's over both of them. Not only does he do that, he disposes of both of them, wipes his forehead off, and he still has enough time, energy, and reflex to deflect the attack of Alberto Del Rio. It's entirely unrealistic, and it's everything that's wrong with John Cena. Never mind the fact that everything up until Cena came into that match, even though I don't like big pile of people matches like this, everything up to and including the time that John Cena got into this match tonight was great. Everybody else was doing their thing. Morrison was doing his thing. Alex Riley was doing his thing. Sheamus was doing his thing. Christian, Ziggler, maybe Barrett and Swagger not so much, but they were putting in their contributions to the match. Cena goes in, all the psychology goes out the window. All the anybody else getting to look even remotely good goes right out the window because Cena is a fucking prick. Anyways, I won't hold back. I'll tell you what I really think, right? Anyways, now that is my one big fail of the night, we go to the actual scores, fails, and MVPs. As usual, the opening promo, anything between Punk and Triple H is pretty much gold right now. Air Boom, I'm warming up to them more and more and more. I was a fan of Evan Bourne and not a fan of Kofi Kingston before they became a tag team, so I was hesitant about this team. And my big thing was they weren't really acting like much of a tag team in some of the traditional senses. Tonight they did a bit better. Tonight they entered the ring, they entered the arena together. Now, was it a hastily done mashup of their two musics? Absolutely, but they're posing and they're doing the boom boom and the pyro and all that at the top of the rampway together. The fact that they didn't dress alike, but they both had a lot of that pale blue whatever coloring in their respective ring attires, they sort of are starting to look more like a team. That's all very good, and the fact that as soon as they got the As soon as they got the tag team champions, they've already got the Miz and R-Truth, who are really, really established guys, hunting them down, makes them look even more established. It's better than having them have another rematch with the tag team formerly known as Nexus, who have now been relegated to fighting Jerry Lawler, right? Right. I hated Natalya and Kelly on commentary during the Divas #1 Contenders match. The one line that I thought was absolutely ridiculous, but it was so ridiculous that it was actually good, was the Barbie dolls in the WWE are like candy, and candy rots your teeth. That's it. That's all I got there. Miz and Truth versus Air Boom at Night of Champions. They've put the challenge out there to the faces, so the faces are going to accept, I'm assuming. So I'm going to go ahead and say already that match for Night of Champions is a big score. In addition to that, Miz's suit tonight. Enough said. Alberto Del Rio roaming the back rooms of the arena, looking for help, looking for backup, looking for a gang mentality. It's kind of lame, but it's also a really, really sweet heel thing to do. It's such a heel. He's already got his backup guy with Ricardo Rodriguez. He had the thing with Brodus Clay, which was kind of ridiculous, but kind of fun at the same time. Now his desperation, his need to pound the living shit out of John Cena before Night of Champions. It's such a perfect heel thing to do. I thought it was great, and the fact that he got such a random ragtag team together, Ziggler, Swagger, Wade Barrett, and Christian. I mean, they're taking full advantage of the Supershow, Super Raw, and SmackDown combining of rosters thing for sure, but it's also, I'll take help from anybody, is his mentality there. Another win for the match tonight, the 8-man tag. We got to see little glimpses of matches that I would like to see. First of all would be Wade Barrett versus Sheamus. We've seen it, but not to the extent that we could have seen it, my personal opinion. Two matches that I will say: Alex Riley versus Dolph Ziggler, and Morrison versus Ziggler. Now, here's my thought on this, and you all can tell me if you agree with this or not. Ziggler and Morrison both deserve to be in the main event scene. Alex Riley definitely deserves to be at least shining in the mid-card division. I would love to see Alex Riley pull an upset on Ziggler, get the U.S. title, then have Ziggler move on to a rivalry with Morrison, and let that rivalry itself be so good that it elevates them mutually to the main event. Elevates them mutually towards a WWE title, maybe not necessarily a title run, but a title shot. I think they could build each other up brilliantly that way, and the U.S. title would not go to waste, as it would go to boosting a mid-carder like Alex Riley. Just my thought, my theory. Please post it down below if you agree, or if you think I'm totally on drugs. Really, either way, I don't care. My biggest fail, and it's going to be my fail until Night of Champions, I'm pretty sure. Night of Champions, the entire thought behind Night of Champions is every match is a title match, and right now the main event isn't. Now, the main event of any pay-per-view is usually a title match, but the main event of a pay-per-view that is supposed to be all title matches is not, and that's Punk Triple H. I can't see them not making this the main event, and it deserves to be the main event, and it's going to be a great match, and I'm looking forward to it, but the illogic behind that is something that has to be commented on, something I can't set aside. Like I say, I like the match tonight with Air Boom versus Khali and Jinder Mahal. I don't like that they got the win cheaply. I don't like that they got the win because the other team fucked up. I would like to see them, especially if they're holding the gold and they're being pushed as the main tag team right now, I would love to see them get a nice, clean victory rather than their opponents making a mistake and then just picking up the scraps. I don't think that does much to boost the strength of that team. Just a little thing. I'm glad they won. I'm glad they're getting a push. That could have been done better. I gotta say it once again, Kelly on commentary sounds like a ditzy blonde. Sounds like a ditzy blonde that's trying not to sound like a ditzy blonde, which is even worse. The text story with Kevin Nash and I attacked CM Punk because I got a text message from Triple H. The ending of that, or finding out that he sent the text message to himself, that's super anticlimactic and not... It's a really, really lame way to end that story before it even really gets going, right? I have all due respect for Jerry the King Lawler. I respect what he has done in the wrestling world in his time in the ring, but they need to stop pulling him off the commentator desk to compete with today's stars. because it doesn't do anything for him and it doesn't do anything for them, and it's just blah and stop. That's it. I've already said it, Super Cena and the way that the 8-man tag match ended tonight. Ridiculous, but to be expected when John Cena is anywhere near the ring, I suppose. Now, for his awesome effort tonight against, in his match with CM Punk, tonight's MVP is going to be R-Truth, and that's about it. Yeah, so that's my September 5th Raw Super Show review, guys. You know the drill. I've been Spaz. Subscribe up there, talk down there, start a conversation, let me know what you think, and I will talk to you guys all later.